I am Darth Sparty from Imperial Ventilation Design, part of the Hive of Scum and Villainy Alliance, and you are listening to the Escape Pod cast. This show was recorded in front of a live studio audience. Join me, and together we can rule the GOTB.
One is a Grand Arena specialist from the UK. The other is a territory battle tactician from the US. Together, there are no signs of intelligent life on board. With both having played this game since launch, the one thing we are sure of is that you will be entertained. The CFH Network presents The Escape Pod Cast, a service of the Escape Pod Castaways. A weekly podcast about the mobile game Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. Live from the network studios of Yavin 4, here are your hosts, Neil Andrew Eyre and Paul Anthony.
Coming up on this week's edition of the Escape Pod Cast, the state of the galaxy poses a few questions. Light side territory battles is pushed back. The dev tracker drops. We get a lot of questions answered in the Q&A. Sort of. The Llama opens her storybook for the first time. We sit down to talk to Deadpool Kyle of Dan and Kyle Do Hollywood about the Q&A. And the Horde of Neil Andrew Eyre is unleashed upon the world. How is it working? All this and breaking news as and if it happens right here, right now on this fully live edition of the Escape Pod Cast.
The Escape Pod Cast News.
Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Escape Pod Cast. I'm your host, Neil Eyre, and here with me is the ever-present Paul Anthony. How are you doing today, Paul?
Ever present. I'll take it. I'll take it. I do like to make sure that I'm available for our listeners in our Discord channel, which, if you're listening live, it is literally live right now. We have this week and next week right away. 6:30 we can go live. Nev schedule kind of opened up, so we've got 2 live shows back to back for you this week, and we could not be more excited.
Oh yes, very, very excited. We do like it live.
Yes, definitely. So, Nev, I wanted to start out, as you noticed, they did have, we kind of had a information-packed week.
It was an overload.
We had the State of the Galaxy. We had the developer tracker. We had the whole Q&A. And we're going to really get into the Q&A in a little bit when we talk to Deadpool Kyle in a little bit. We're going to get into 2 topics there. But before we get into our thoughts on the Q&A, let's hit the first thing that came up. And that is really quick, just going to touch on it. Once again, one store was priced $1 higher than the other store. They're going to refund you. Don't worry, they're not trying to price point it out. When CG says that they're not trying to test market prices and things like that for different devices, they're not trying to tick off, either a third or 2/3 or even half of their base. It's an error. People mess up. Sometimes code gets messed up. Relax. It's all right. It's going to be okay. Don't worry.
Yeah, that
a thing.
There does seem to be a couple of. There does seem to be.
Be all right.
Okay, I'll just wait.
I was just.
I know. You were singing a song. I wasn't. The penny didn't drop. No, I was just going to add to what you just said there, that there did seem to be quite a few bugs with this whole new UI, didn't there, really?
Yeah, that's absolutely one of the things that they did mention, I believe, in the developer tracker. It's kind of neat. Looking at the developer tracker that they have things that are ready to release. In the ready to release column is the last seen view for mods. The last used squads are not being saved in Squad Arena and Fleet Arena for some. The command for prohibit overlay is not displayed properly on the territory battle for Geonosis. I noticed that the no sign was in back of something once, and I was like, it's okay. They know that not to go there anyway. A favorite badge appears grayed out on characters that are not activated. That was an old issue that crept back up. And also apparently a link to guild activities causing infinite loading was happening for some people, which that's crazy. Now, you did mention it's a little harder to get into the to get through the game because of performance issues, and this is title update 17. They might release 17.1, or they may just go full-fledged title update 18. But under the bugs that are still in progress, they have the title update 17 performance issues, which is the delay, disappearing buttons during a battle. They just talked about that in something that we'll get to in a moment. And also there's a wrong character description for G12 finisher pieces. I mean, you can see what's going on with the game and know that they know about an issue. One of the things that they fixed is that they had the free-to-play Dooku in the PvE battles, which was hilarious.
Well, I mean, I quite like the dev tracker. Actually, the first thing that hit me when I opened it was it took me back to my project manager days, because it looks just like a rap sheet. Now, for any of you people out there that have been a project manager or an implementation manager, a rap sheet is a remedial action plan, and it's basically got all your risks and issues on. And what all of those various different risks and issues, whether they're red, green, or amber, and who's resolving them, when they're going to be resolved, and that's exactly what I saw when I opened up the dev tracker. So being able to physically look at what the issues and the risks are, what the bugs are, what the notes are, what the UI, basically being able to see it all and know what is in progress, what's being investigated, what's been fixed and what's been ready to review. I mean. Obviously, it gets quite technical, and for those of us that are constantly doing content and constantly playing the game, we like to know all those little ins and outs. It's going to read as gobbledygook to someone that doesn't really care about this and just taps on and off and plays the game. But I must admit, I do like the layout of the dev tracker, and I'll be skimming it every once in a while for sure.
I mean, it'll be open every single Friday when we go live.
Yeah.
So I have no problem in looking at this and being able to go, okay, boom, boom, boom. Okay, I made sure I got everything. It's kind of a great rundown sheet, if you will, for me. And JJ Manners put in the chat that there is a bug that is not on here, and that's the ships disappearing. Man,
yeah, that's annoying the crap out of me. Is that?
I had that happen too when I'm trying to set up a MILF squad during territory wars, and I'm going, okay, well, if I scroll down then scroll back up, then my ship shows up. Okay, at least they weren't entirely gone, like I heard for some people, which that can be maddening.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was first noticed. That's when I first noticed it was in territory war, trying to set fleet defenses in territory war, and just you're scrolling up. Yeah, it was really, really bugging the crap out of me. So yeah, that's a bug that's not on the list that has been pointed out by JJ. That definitely needs to go on. So hopefully somebody will get that on this the dev tracker ASAP.
Zaz, I was in mid-drink when I read this. Apparently, during the cinematic beginning of the fourth phase of the tank raid, the droid is already standing outside of the hatch when the tank hatch opens. I'm going to have to look for that on Sunday morning when Yavin runs the tank. That's awesome.
Okay, so what else did you want to go over in the tentative title update then, Paul?
Well, in the tentative title update, they have mentioned that there is, if you have buttons that disappear, your buttons will refresh. And I hope, and I'll explain my worry here in a moment. I'm hoping that if the buttons are already there, that a refresh is not going to cause any problems. The buttons are supposed to refresh after 10 to 20 seconds if it does not detect input. I'm just hoping that those 10 to 20 seconds are not going to hurt somebody if they're sitting there. I don't think the buttons are going to disappear in those 10 to 20 seconds. They've got it, coded to display buttons. Now, that being said, if they refresh at the exact nanosecond or whatever that the person goes to push on it because the game hasn't detected any input, I'm really hoping that's not going to screw with somebody and they're going to hit the wrong button, or it doesn't register, or it locks. Another way of soft locking if it's interacted with in that time. The only thing that can be done is QA. So CG, check that out for us, please.
Yeah, it's definitely... Well, I really hope that this Band-Aid works, because the amount of times that it's occurred, the issue has reared its ugly head during people's GAC battles. That I don't think people don't really care about it in Squad Arena, because you've got multiple. So if it happens, it's like, oh well, I've got 2 more, I've got 3 more, I've got 4 more battles. I mean, it would be a pain in the ass if it happened with your last one and you were going for a really important position. It happened with me in Fleet Arena once. But when it happens in GAC, there's no replay. You can't just... You lose the battle and you lose those 5 characters. And it can totally screw up whether you win or lose. A lot of the time, the difference between a win and a loss in GAC is, 1 battle. So if your buttons disappear halfway through a battle and there's nothing you can do about it, you're screwed. You sat there screaming at the screen as the clock runs down, and there's bugger all you can do about it.
Yeah. Thank you. I worried that with this live show, I might have to hit the dump button.
Oh, come on. I said one naughty word.
That was last week. We took care of it. We'll see if we can get through the entire show without me having...
We will. I'm going to restrain myself. I'm in practice mode. I'm not allowed to use any profanity because my kids are coming next week.
There we go. Well, we're looking forward to that show, because it's going to be fun. I'm excited for you to see your kids.
Oh,
now,
hell yeah!
Here's a thing that just blows my mind. Do you remember? I think it was a few weeks ago, maybe it was 2 months ago, that I talked about an article about how many installations of this game there have been. Well, wasn't it 8 million?
Say that again.
I think there was 8 million installations of this game.
Wow.
Let's see. Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes installations. Let's see here. There was a news article about this, and I just want to try to find it. But
and that was the calendar month for last month or the previous month, because sometimes these statistics carry over a couple of months before they're reported on, aren't they?
Yeah, and so I think it might have been 2 months ago that there was 5 million. Okay, even then, JJ, let's just go with what JJ says in the listener lounge. Let's just say that there's 5 million. Okay.
Yeah, let's be conservative with it. Yeah.
Let's go into the state of the galaxy.
Okay, state of the Well, I've got the state of galaxy up in front of me. Okay,
so we get word that we're getting a themed GAC most likely next time.
Yeah.
And they tell us that they're going to focus on the First Order.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I read that.
Cool. I'd like a what is it? BB9E logo. That'd be fun. Then they give us their update on cheating, which is great. It's absolutely great. Now, relics. They come up to relics next. Let me break out the calculator here before I go into this.
What are you breaking out the calculator for?
Oh, get ready for this. Okay, so in here, they give us that there have been 31,814 characters taken to Relic 7.
Mm-hmm. Oh right. Oh. So then, in that case, so what? So nobody's taken any Phoenix or Thrawn to a Relic 7. Then that's interesting.
Well, it's fine. I'm not concerned about that. But with 31,814 characters, that is 0.00, not even 0.006% of accounts that have relics.
Well, I mean, that's debatable. That's a debatable statistic, because 31,814 characters at Relic 7, one account might be one of those. It might be one account having 10 of those characters. It might be one account having 20 of those characters. So we don't know. We may have 31,814 characters that are at Relic 7, but we don't know how many accounts encompass those 31,000 characters. So we don't know. I mean, it says 138,612 characters at Relics 4 to 6. So that's a lot of characters that have had their relics activated, and they've been taken up to between 4 and 7. But we don't know what the breakdown is on how many accounts have got characters with Relic 7. So there's no way to really know. It's a misnomer. It's a useless statistic that they've thrown at us, really. I would have preferred to have seen, we've seen, how many accounts have characters in that have taken their characters to Relics 4 to 7. That would have been a more interesting statistic than just how many characters have been, had their relics tiered up.
Well, that's the thing. I've got one. JJ Manners in the room has got one. I know of some people that have many, many, many. And, somebody said it's about there's about 2.5 million accounts active right now. So I revised the math. I divided 31,814 by 2.5 million, and that is 1.2%. That's how many, if it is a 1-to-1 ratio of every account has one that has a Relic 7, they only have one, that's 1.2% of accounts that have a Relic 7. That number, it blows my mind that it is so small, as you've been saying. Now they're talking about, they've got between Relics 4 and 6. Let's go ahead and do the math here real quick. 138,216 divided by, we'll go with the even more conservative, 2.5 million. That's still 5.5% of the accounts have messed with relics to the effect of between 4 and 6. And that number scares me, because are there really 2.5 million, or is the number of people that are in Endgame only this 5.5%?
Well, it's again, you're talking about statistics from a debatable perspective there, because it depends what you class as end game. The Pompontastic account that I was running for 12 months had a level 2 relic. All right, granted, it wasn't 4 to 6, but if I'd farmed for a couple of days for the materials, I could have quite easily taken Revan up to 4 or 5 or 6, but because I was still farming for the Game Boy Advance, I didn't want to stop farming that. I could have stopped farming that for a few days, taken my Revan up to 4, 5, or 6, and that was an account that was less than 12 months old, and it was free to play. So you've got to bear in mind that was free to play. So a whale that is less than 12 months old would most certainly have the opportunity and the means to take characters that are Gear 13 take the characters with relics on that are Gear 13 to 4, 5, 6, or 7.
So I'm going to save, I think we earmarked relics for when we talk to DPK. So I'm going to save my thoughts and comments on relics and all that for when we talk to him.
Yeah, I just want to quickly go back to the follow up they did on the GAC with regarding focusing on the First Order and the First Order flavored tweets. Now, when I first read that, I was like, oh god, I really don't like the First Order. It really doesn't bother me. But when you think about what the regular GAC is, the regular GAC does actually have a Clone Wars flavor, because you've got the Separatists fleet, you've got the Grievous fleet, you've got the Galactic Republic fleet, you've got the Clone Trooper fleet. So I simply think that what they're going to do is, so like for example, they had the feat that, defeat 24 enemies with a full Separatist squad. I think they're just going to swap that out with defeat 24 defeat 24 opponents with a First Order squad. And obviously with it being the First Order, there'll be defeat 24 Phoenix with First Order, that's the way that the flavor has been with the regular GAC being Separatists and Galactic Republic. I think that they're specifying First Order, but we're probably going to see some Phoenix in there because some Resistance, not Phoenix, Resistance in there, because obviously the Resistance is the enemy of the First Order. So there's going to be lots of Resistance feats in the next GAC, because First Order needs some Resistance, because the Resistance are the bad guys to them, aren't they?
Yeah. Well, they are. The Resistance is the bad guys.
But I still don't like it because I don't care about First Order. I'm one of those people that levels up and gears up the First Order to get BB-8, and then I kind of just shoo them to one side. I think of my First Order exactly how I thought of my Jawas. I got my Jawas up, starred and leveled so that I could do the mod challenge for the critical damage mods, which is what you used to, you know what I'm talking about. Many moons ago, you had to have Jawa in order to complete the mod challenge for the for a certain type of mod, and that was Correct. The critical damage. So I did exactly the same thing with my First Order. So my First Order on any of my accounts is not particularly that hot. We're talking between 60 and 70k. So I'm probably not going to get a massive amount of feats in that November championship.
Unless you work with your opponent, message them, and get somebody cool that's like, oh yeah, I don't mind putting, some green people up front so you could get your First Order portrait.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, that could work.
So, and the other thing is that they told us we're not getting light side territory battles until November, but they said it is coming in November, and we do have to battle the Nexu and the Reek. The Nexu being one of my favorite monsters, if you will, of the Star Wars universe, big old cat, and then the Reek is the big old rhino. So those are going to be fun.
Fun. At least it's something set in. It is set in stone. It's the only thing that's set in stone. Geonosian light side territory battles in November. Everything else is speculative, but at least we know that is 100% coming in November.
Exactly. And then we got to talk about the visual lag, and then they unveiled the dev tracker. So they covered the bases. I was happy, and I was looking forward to the whole Q&A. It's really fun, and at the expense, if you will, of us, of us talking about everything that goes with the whole, I'm trying to find the words here. At the expense of us sounding like a audiobook version of the forums, we are going to cover some of the big things here coming up, and I have you leading that, right, Nev?
Oh yes, definitely looking forward to covering, especially the general questions. The general questions had some really good stuff in there. I mean, there was some niff-naff and trivia, and there was some fluff in there, but there was some really, really good stuff in there with some interesting answers to some of the questions.
All right. Why don't you go ahead? I'm going to flip over to the other computer so I can play our commercials. And why don't you throw us over to break?
No worries. Well, stick around for the next segment, guys. We'll be right back on the Escape Pod cast.
The Escape Pod cast with Paul Anthony and Neil Andrew Eyre.
Micaeus Modding Mayhem is the premier remodding service for the game that we all love, Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. With some of the most affordable rates in the industry, Micaeus will rebuild your roster from top to bottom and give you consultation on where to go from there. Micaeus has a 100% satisfaction guarantee and lots of useful additional services, including a full cleanup of your mods, loadout pages, PvP plans, and more. Contact Micaeus today on Discord at all lowercase Micaeus number 0127. That's MIKAYAS number 0127, or at micaeusmods@gmail.com. Micaeus Modding Mayhem, the official remodding service of the Escape Pod cast.
Did you know that if you signed up to become a Patreon, you could get tons of rewards? Force Ghost Scotty could do a roster review for you. Neil Andrew Eyre could share Grand Arena tactics. Or Paul could even help you get maximum stars in Geonosis Territory Battle. And you even get access into the after show. Sound good? Sign up to be a Patreon today. For as little as $2 a month, you could unlock a ton of potential content and also get closer to the hosts. Head to patreon.com/The Escape Pod to sign up.
Hey there, Escape Podawans. Everyone's favorite Llama here to remind you that the Escape Pod cast is on social media. That's right, we're on Facebook, we're on Twitter. So give us a like, give us a follow, and stay up to date on all things in-game and in the Escape Pod. Our account links are down in the description or on our Discord server in the Show Links channel. See you on the net.
The Escape Pod cast.
And welcome back, everybody. We are here, we are live, and we are going to dive deep into this developer Q&A right about now. You ready to do some, you ready to go over some Q&A, Paul?
Excellent. TNA. Oh, Q&A.
Q&A, not TNA, Q&A.
I'm sorry. Q&A.
Q&A.
All right, let's do this.
Oh, Brit. Well, look, just to let everybody in the room know, it was a big one. There were a lot of questions, and I don't want to bore everybody by poring over every single question and every single answer, but there were some very good questions and there were some very telling answers. So I'm just going to go over the ones that, are kind of relevant to the game, things that we've been speculating, things that we've been asking about. I'm not really going to go over questions that are niff-naff and trivia because there's nothing really interesting to discuss on them about. So I'm going to start from the top, but I'm not going to go through every question. So let's talk about some of the first questions, shall we? What do you say, Paul?
We absolutely need to skip economy and relics because we promised that Deadpool Kyle would get to talk about those.
Oh yes, we will.
So they talked about. I'll start right from the top.
Go ahead.
Where they are talking about the lag. They once again addressed the lag. And we've already gotten the update on that. They were talking about when will you implement. And here it comes. When will you implement some new and different game modes where you can use every character you have in some kind of endless game mode? Galactic War looks quite enticing for such a game mode / guild PvP mode, sandbox mode. I mean, we cornered the market when Dagger said to me, I want to play with my toys. And I was like, oh, I love that. Love that whole thought that I do want to play with my toys that I have that I've spent money on, and he once again, Eric comes back and says, I wish I had something more concrete to say, but the team is exploring options around a mode similar to this. There are lots of different ways to approach this problem. So at least they're acknowledging that it's a problem. And we don't really have any specific details or a timeline to share at this time. This is an improvement, Nev. This is an absolute improvement on the fact that they originally were saying, oh, we don't have any plans to do anything like this in the near future. At least they're acknowledging a problem. This is what I asked for when they said, when I ask them to say, "We hear you." So I honestly think they're listening to the uproar for this mode. I know Cubs talked about it. I know Arnold talked about it. Mobile talked about it. All the big three, if you will, of the YouTube stars. We've talked about it. I know RSG has talked about it. Those who do live streaming. So the major players, when it comes to talking about this game, are all calling for it, and they're finally. I think that answer is a little bit of them saying, "We hear you."
Well, you see, I think that answer is piecemeal, to be perfectly honest with you, because the important takeaway from that answer is this sentence. The team is exploring options around a mode similar to this. The team is exploring. They're just exploring. We've asked for it. We've discussed it. We've debated about it. They know this. They'll have seen all of the content creators discuss this, talk about this. They'll have probably been dipping into various Discord servers. So all they have to really do is say, yeah, absolutely, it's a problem, and we're going to explore the options. Now, exploring the options without giving, any specific details or a timeline it's answering the question with what we think we want to hear, but the reality is it's not really a substantial answer as far as I'm concerned. It's great that they're acknowledging that it's a problem. And it's great that they're exploring the options, but without any specific details or a timeline, it's the kind of thing that it's like, well, the players have been asking for this. Let's put it on the notice board and stick a pin in it with indefinite. And so I'm kind of a little bit disappointed that there's no specific details or timelines. But don't get me wrong, I'm happy that they're acknowledging that it's a problem, and that I'm happy that they're exploring options around a mode similar to this.
Yeah, I just noticed. You go ahead and talk about the next few ones. I just noticed a question that I hadn't read before, so I'm going to read this question. You go ahead and take.
Yeah, well, I'm going to move on to a question that was really quite interesting as far as I was concerned. It's kind of a double question, and they mentioned in the last Q&A that they were working on features to help new players grow quicker and reach end game faster. Is there any more info on this? And CG Eric said that they are actively working on these features and the communication plan that leads up to their release, and they're going to start releasing and sharing details sometime in November. So that's something that's good, with a solid date on when they're going to announce what they're going to share. So it's not, we're going to release it then, we're going to have to wait until November before they start sharing the details. But the fact that we have a firm date of November as to when they're going to share this detail, that's good. So it'll be a case of keeping our eyes and ears to the ground and listening out for, what those details are. But it leads straight into the next question. And the next question being, obviously their the state of the galaxy. We're going to be talking about a feature we've been working on for new players that we will think make new game experience something that can be better navigated. And CG Top Hat went into this one brilliantly. And obviously the big takeaway here, the big takeaway from what CG Top Hat said, is what they're talking about is taking some of the core events like the legendaries and the journeys and moving them out of calendar rotation and instead making them standing events that players can start to interact with whenever they're ready. And that is brilliant. That is something that Arnold talked about regarding Marvel Strike Force, because Marvel Strike Force did the exact same thing with the Iron Man. I know I'm talking about evil, Marvel Strike Force, but what the developers did there was they made that event run throughout the entire year, and when you were ready to do it, you could do it. Now, I think something like that with the older legendaries and the older Heroes Journey events would be brilliant, because people could then work on whatever faction they wanted and then go and do that legendary or go and do that Hero's Journey. If it's taken off the calendar, people, for me, for doing that early game content, it blows farming guides completely and utterly out of the water. I mean, literally, when they bring this out and when they implement it, it will blow the pillar system out of the water, and it will blow any farming system completely out of the water, because if you can do a legendary or a hero's journey whenever you want, based entirely on what you farm and when those farms are ready, what's the point in farming? It'd be like, right, okay, I'll just do the Revan ones, and when my characters are all at 7 stars, I can do it. I'll just do the Ewoks, and I don't have to worry about when C-3PO's event is coming, because as soon as my Ewoks are ready, click, I can go. That is without a doubt a game-changing update that they could make to this game, and it would make it so much easier for the for new accounts and for new players, and the retention. I mean, oh my god, some people come in and they're like, oh no, I don't want to have to wait to get my CLS. I don't want to have to wait to get my Yoda. I want my Yoda now. Why do I have to wait 3 months? It's like, well, you don't anymore. Get your 5 Jedi and boom, you can go do the Yoda. It's just brilliant.
Daddy, I want a golden goose. Give me a golden noose. I want it now.
But yeah, no, that was just, oh yeah, wow. That was really, when I read that one, I was like, oh, this is good. This is really, really good.
Yeah, it's that was the one that I didn't actually see it for until then. I only saw the original one that you referenced. Going through this whole general section. Sadly, Leviathan is no longer working with CG, but Lucifer's daddy is working on it, on any of the cheating reports. They also acknowledge that CG does have another game that they're working on, but none of the Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes dev team has apparently been moved on to them. So it's a brand new area of the building, if you will. Now, here's a gotcha question that happened during all of this. When you designed Darkside GOTB, was it tuned to Gear 12, Gear 13, or Relic 7? Also, can you tell us which level Lightside GOTB will be tuned? And I'm going to read Top Hat's answer right away. And verbatim. We tuned Darkside GOTB to anticipate relics. And no, we will not tell you the tuning for Lightside GOTB. In parentheses, it then says, spoiler, relics are required.
Scary.
Yeah. Now, they later came back and said, this is what happens when you're answering questions quickly. Relics are not a hard requirement for Lightside GOTB, but the missions are tuned for them. With that being said, wouldn't it just be a kick in the pants if you needed relic characters in addition to 7-star for platooning?
That would suck.
That would absolutely suck. So
it's an interesting one. It's I mean the edit was I think the edit would have been well received. I mean, I don't believe, no one is under any illusions that Lightside GOTB is going to be, ridiculously hard. It's going to be harder than Darkside GOTB. I mean, everybody is expecting it to be hard, and everybody is expecting it to be, if you want to be at the top, then, you're going to need relics. Maybe not necessarily up to 7, but you're going to need relics to do really, really well. But, at least it's not a necessity. So people are going to be able to hopefully go into that, the Lightside GOTB with just Gear 12, Gear 13 characters. And, they're not going to be 3-star in the territories, obviously not. But, if guilds can go in, and just get, 1 star in this territory, 1 star in that territory. At least they're getting the rewards, and they know what they need to do to their characters in order to build them up. I mean, that's what it's like for most people with the Accolade. I mean, when I first got my Geos ready to do the Accolade to get the Wat Tambor shards, I was like, yay, brilliant, they're all ready. And I went in and I got swatted on 1 of 4. So I'm like, right, okay, so I need to do that, and that. So I did that, and that. And when I went back in, I made it all the way to 3 of 4. And it's like, okay, so I need to do a little bit more tweaking. So I did the tweaking. And the third time I went in, I got to 4 of 4. Now, I didn't complete it, but I'm getting there. And knowing what I need to do next to a character is kind of important. You can edge your way up instead of just going, right, okay, max everything out, hit the auto. Not everybody can do that. You know, some whales may be able to do that, but it's nice to know that relics are not a hard requirement. It's more of a, well, go in without relics and see how well you do, and then you'll realize, okay, you might need to do a 2, a 3, a 4, or a 5 relic on certain characters.
Well, you know, when it comes to the Geonosians, I did Wat Tambor the first week with Naked, Gear 12, and Gold mods. So it can be done at flat out Gear 12 for everybody. So that gives me a little bit of hope. But remember how much more difficult Darkside Hoth was when that came out compared to Lightside Hoth. So they're inching it up, I believe. I just hope they don't take as drastic of a percentage of difficulty and boost it that way. You know, I hope they alternate it. Light side, dark side, light side, dark side. We'll see what happens here.
Yeah.
You know, because
I've
got two more. It can be done this time, but I don't know if everybody has the ability to. But I've got 2 more GOTBs, according to my prediction, before I get my hands on the sexy techno union leader.
Well, there is one thing that I just want to. I know that we've been talking about obviously the question regarding the design for the Darkside GOTB, but I just want to go back one question, Paul. And the reason why I want to go back one question is there was something kind of important buried in the answer to a pretty innocuous question about, you know, how much of the dev team normally work on new content, and what was diverted to the new project. And that's the last sentence. And the last sentence of the answer is, we are also starting preliminary ideation on a raid. No promises. Finishing work on the epic confrontation and preparing for episode 9. It's busy here. Now, the important takeaway I saw from that was they're also starting preliminary ideation on a raid. Now, we know, because they've already announced that they're going to do a ship raid. So I look at this as another raid. So they know that they're going to do a ship raid. We don't know what's going to be in the ship raid, but they know what's going to be in it. So we know there's going to be a ship raid. But it sounds like, buried in the answer to that question, that they're also going to be they're starting along the preliminary ideation on another raid, which I think would be quite good. We know that they're finishing work on the epic confrontation, and it goes without saying that they're going to be preparing for episode 9, but nobody picked up on that. I've listened to other content creators, and nobody's picked up. Everybody's just talking about the new ship raid that they're announcing for 2020. Nobody's picked up on they're also starting preliminary ideation on a raid. Now, they just said on a raid, not another raid, but that kind of gives me the warm fuzzies that once they've done the ship raid, the idea that the preliminary ideation that they've got now after the ship raid is going to be something, hopefully with a little bit more meat on it.
Right. And so, we're going really long in this segment.
Oh, yeah, we are.
A little bit long, guys. And I do apologize. And DPK, hang in there. We will get to you here in a moment. I'm going to jump down to content, which was the next thing. I hate going forward on this at this pace because we're going to miss some things. But it was about the middle of it. Here it is. No, that's not where it was. It said something about, is ships going to have an update? I cannot find it now, but I will tell you this. It sounded to me like they said ships may be needed for the next epic confrontation, and then also confirmed that it could be needed in the raid. And we still, and you're going to have, I know you're in the north and I'm down here in Texas, but you got to hold me back, man. I want my malevolence. Where is my malevolence?
Look, just because they've hinted at something doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to give it to you. You know, it's like, promising a kid that, keeps asking for something for Christmas, and then you go out and it's like, oh, well, that's there. It's easier to get that. Let's just get them that. They'll be just as excited about that despite them wanting the other thing. So, that sometimes we get disappointed. Sometimes, look at Arnold. Look how gutted Arnold was after the rework of the first rework of General Grievous. He went to town on General Grievous, and then he didn't get what he wanted. It wasn't very good. Grievous didn't get good until the second one. So, sometimes you ask for something and you might not necessarily get it, or you'll be disappointed. But I still think that there will be a separatist capital ship. I mean, some people keep saying, there have been enough hints that it's going to be benevolence. I still think that it's going to be a curveball. I still think that curveball is going to be, General Grievous is going to get Sol 1, and I think it's going to be a Newt Gunray capital ship, because I think that would be a hell of a lot more effective. I think General Grievous would be more OP in the Soulless one, like a Millennium Falcon for Rebels. I think General Grievous would be a Millennium Falcon level ship with good backup from a Newt Gunray capital ship. But they do have a lot of plans upcoming in the new year. Regarding the new ship content, and all we can do is hope. Hope that the couple of new, because they did say that they're bringing in a couple of new capital ships this year. I mean, obviously they've put that in brackets with no promises, but I think that is what they're aiming towards. They are aiming towards bringing in 2 new ships. One I think will be a legendary. And then the other is obviously going to be, like the Negotiator. It's going to be shard rewards in the light side TB. So, yes, they're giving us the ship, but it won't be active in the game until, obviously, it's farmed to 5 stars. But I do think maybe they'll throw another legendary capital ship in there, like Thrawn. And that will be potentially Hux's ship with First Order, because they're going to be showing the First Order some love. They've already said that they're going to show the First Order some love with new characters. The First Order is the new character cadence for the next few months. They bring in some new characters, mix it up with the old, give us a legendary.
Nev, hang on. A second.
Yeah.
We already have seen Malevolence with Grievous in the droid event.
Yeah.
But more importantly, right now, Nev, I feel a strong disturbance in the Force. A very strong disturbance in the Force. And I feel a Force ghost appearing right now.
Oh my God, really? Oh.
Ladies and gentlemen, returning to the show since the first time that I pushed him, he accidentally fell out of an airlock, is Force Ghost Scotty. Scotty, what's going on, bud?
Guys, thanks so much for pushing me out here in space. I am loving it out here. I just saw Princess Leia fly past me, man. It was really cool. But, I gotta say, guys, let's be honest. There was an alleged leak which was pretty spot on, which came out in November of last year, saying that the Malevolence was coming. The Malevolence was coming. It continued to get pushed back. That damn ship has been on the cards for the last year now. Where the hell is it? Seriously.
Agreed.
Why is nobody talking about this? I don't understand. Seriously, this is the big ship. This is the one. Okay, is it coming with light side territory battle? Well, maybe. But seriously, my goodness. CG, man, they've got to release something new. At the moment, Relics ain't new. Relics is just, hey, how about we just rehash everything else? Where is the Malevolence? Where is it? It's been teased since November last year. It's been nearly a year, guys. We're in October. Why aren't we talking about this? Why aren't we holding them to account?
Well, because it was a leak, Scotty. You and I, when we did the show together, we never held them accountable for leaks of things that they didn't officially announce. Now, it'd be all wonderful if if we did have advanced knowledge and we knew that truly this malevolence rumor was true, but we've seen all these stupid ideas behind, General Skywalker coming or Darth Jar Jar coming. We've seen all these spoilers, and we know some of the perpetrators of the fake leaks as well. And at least I'm sitting here going, don't be stupid.
Well, Paul, to that I say this. Okay, sure, there were the leaks and stuff. You can deny that. That's fine. But then there were a number of different things that came out saying you will need more benevolence. You will need more benevolence. You will need more benevolence. And then nothing's been said about it since. Where is it? CG have actually admitted that they're actually going to be bringing it out. Where is it?
Well, we saw it. Why don't we have Vader's capital ship, which is the same thing as Tarkin's? I mean, we've seen that one in a game too. I want the malevolence. That ship kit was wonderful. I would love to actually see it instead of that carbon copy of Executrix. I want to see that the malevolence that we played with in the droid event. I want to see it out in,
that's
standard fare. All right. Yeah. Well, Scotty, it's an absolute pleasure. For those that don't know, Scotty is still highly involved with this show as our production director, as you hear him in the commercials and things like that. And Scotty, I thank you for that, for sticking around and helping us keep this ship on the right path.
Oh, one more thing, boys, just while I'm on my rant. They said that everybody was going to be sick and tired of the Clone Wars by the time they're done with it. I ask a question to everybody in the listener lounge. Are you sick of the Clone Wars yet? On that, I'm going back to space. See ya!
He makes some great points. He makes some absolutely great points. And it's so infuriating that we're grasping at straws because there hasn't been that much true reveals. The last thing we got was Vulture Droid. The last character we got was Shaak Ti. Who came first, Shaak Ti or GBA? I think Shaak Ti came first and then GBA. So the last character we got was GBA.
Well, they did Shaak Ti. I think they did Shaak Ti to give people first because they put it on a fleet node, so it would have taken. It takes longer to farm. So I think they probably did Shaak Ti first, so that people could farm free to play in preparation for so GOTB, and they put the Game Boy Advance out afterwards, realizing, well, this is going to be needed for the dark side, which is why they put it on Cantina. We all know it's much, much easier and it's much faster to farm something from the Cantina than it is from, one of the fleet or the light or the dark side nodes, and that's why I think that they brought out Shaak Ti first. That, and obviously she works wonderfully with the reworking of the 501st and the Clone Troopers. So, yeah. But I just don't think you're going to get what you want. I don't think you're going to get what you want, Paul. I don't think Scotty's going to get what he wants. I really don't think that capital ship for the Separatists is going to be Grievous. I just don't think it's going to happen, mate. We need more regular ships for the Separatists, and we know that Grievous has got a badass one in the Soulless one, which makes the obvious choice Newt Gunray, with a possible secondary choice of it being Dooku. But I am betting the house. I'm betting the house on Newt Gunray getting the capital ship and Grievous getting the Soulless one. That's where my money's going. I made the prediction back at the beginning of the year, back in February. I'm sticking to my guns.
I think that you're going to lose that bet, and we all know that how well you do bets when it comes to cricket.
Well, I won the first bet, and the second bet was a draw. So I'm 1-1-0. Thank you very much. I haven't lost. I haven't won.
1-0-1.
1-0-1. Sorry, I don't know the way that you do the whole 1-0. I'm guessing. It's an Americanism that I still haven't kind of got my head around yet. No, I made several predictions back in February, and several of them have come true. So, I've got my fingers crossed that, my February prediction of Newt Gunray's capital ship and the Soulless one are, still there on the cards.
What if it's Trench? What if it's somebody we don't even have? What if it's Trench piloting the Malevolence?
I don't think that. I think they'll do. Here's the thing: we'll know because the next capital ship that comes out, Crumb's got to do a puzzle for it. He's got to do a puzzle for it, and then obviously when we solve the puzzle, then we'll get the big reveal. I'm hoping and praying that's what they do. They do a puzzle for the next one. Although saying that, if Crumb does do a puzzle for the next capital ship, it's not going to be for the one that's in the light side GOTB, because that's going to be reward shards. It would be for a legendary, and the legendary is probably going to be a first order capital ship, and that would be Hux. So they'd need to bring Hux in.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with that. Let's do lightning round. I'll take quality of life, and you finish it up here. Actually, I think that does finish it up.
Well, there is one more that I'd like to. There is one more I'd briefly like to go over before we move to get Kyle on, and that question is regarding my love of Star Wars, the extended universe. I mean, it says extended universe legacy books, but sorry, excuse me, fly in my throat. I.e., TIE Defenders, Nogri Zinj, Corran Horn, and the answer was from CG Top Hat. I would have preferred Crumb to answer this, but it was Top Hat. And he says, maybe. We're not actively thinking about those characters right now with Episode 9, Disney Plus, and still missing other beloved characters from the main canon. It'll be a while before we start picking at this content. The important takeaway is maybe, and it'll be a while. So, yay for the extended universe. So, give me the quick fire, mate. Give me the quick fire.
All right, quick fire quality of life updates that we saw in there. They will not be turning GOTB into 24-hour rotation. I'm both excited and sad for that. I wanted it to be a 24-hour rotation, so we could end up getting things done quicker, and B, we could actually have a definitive at lunchtime go platoon. At dinner time, go do your combat missions. When you wake up, go deploy. I wish we could say that. Now, will we ever have the ability for ranks 1 to 4 to see back to 5 in the arena? No. You're seeing 4 people. You can't go back and lock 5. Stop trying to be a shard mafia. Territory war communications. Are we ever going to get a replay? Will we ever be able to block platoons out? Would you consider adding Wampas? All great things, but they said, and here's where I was sad. The quality of life updates are the big things to me. And it really upsets me that 9 out of 10 of the quality of life things that they say they're going to be bringing, not in this next update. Not in this next update. Low priority for us. No plans at this time. The simple answer is we didn't build one.
At least they're honest.
At least they're honest, but they should put some people into the quality of life team. Yes, we're getting all these sorts of things that don't take away people from content, but hire a quality of life person to code in stuff like this so we can see it.
Well, they'd have to do that. They'd have to hire extra devs to do the coding for it, because you just got to look at what they're doing from now and the beginning of the year. They've got a new raid coming. They've got a new epic confrontation coming. They've got Lightsode TB. We've got the Episode 9 stuff. They said Disney Plus. And the Disney Plus stuff is obviously the new Clone Wars content next year and The Mandalorian. So they have got a ton of stuff that is going to be pushed on them by Disney and by Lucas and by EA. So, the only way that this extra quality of life stuff is going to be incorporated is if they bring on some new people. And they're only going to bring on new people if, the quarterly financials start showing, the big bucks.
Well, if they made life easier for me and gave me a better quality of life, I wouldn't mind going and breaking my not going to spend money on gear. promise that I made. So, if they improve my quality of life, I can improve theirs. How about I scratch your back if you scratch mine? Give me territory battle and territory war, ability to see who does what, and then we'll talk. So, we've gone absolutely long. DPK, I'm sorry that it's taking us so long. Let's get over to DPK after this. Take us to break.
Well, as Paul's just said there, DPK, we're going to get on, so we'll be right back on the Escape Pod cast.
The Escape Pod cast with Paul Anthony and Neil Andrew Eyre.
Hey everyone, Biscuit Weasel here from the planet Coruscant and the HSTR project. Some of you may have seen my latest videos about my modding and Grand Arena strategy, but I want to help you personally. Head on over to patreon.com/biscuitweasel, that's Weasel with a Z, and check out my new Patreon rewards. And while they last, the first 10 people to sign up at the $10 level will get the whole $30 package for their first month. That's patreon.com/biscuitweasel. Remember, that's with a Z. Today.
Does your guild want to tap into their full potential in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes? Yeah! For as low as $1 a month per guild member, your guild can unleash the power of the game in ways you never thought possible. Ooh. Track your arena movements, guild progression, and much, much more. Contact ShittyBill and get one of his shitty bots on your server today. Just look for him on our Discord server and tag or message him for more information. The link for our server is below in the description. Shitty bots, don't let the name fool you.
Hi, this is Cyphermaster SB Crumb, and you're listening to the Escape Pod cast.
Back to school. The Escape Pod cast for kids. It's really cool.
Hello there, all my favorite Escape Padawans. The Llama here with Book 2 in the Escape Pod Cast for Kids saga. That's right, my younglings. Just like the transition of The Nev into Neil Andrew Eyre brought about Season 2 of the Escape Pod cast, the end of Book 1 and Storytime with The Nev has brought about Book 2 and Storytime with yours truly, The Llama. Now, let's jump right into it. Many of you heard Neil talk about the end of his Pillar series on his YouTube channel and the beginning of his new series, The Horde, where he begins his journey with a Horde account, and I figured I'd explain exactly what that is. Some new players to the game, and veteran players who want to start over with an alt account, utilize the Horde technique to try and give themselves an advantage when starting out in the game. Basically, you build the account to level 25 or 26 and halt all progress. You do nothing but collect bonus energy for an extended period of time. When a large enough stockpile is built up, you can resume playing and have a huge boost over your other shardmates when you reach level 28 and enter the squad arena. This is in part largely because you are able to farm characters very, very quickly, which can give you a leg up over other starting players, and in turn will allow you to climb the arena rankings and get you more crystals. A huge help in the beginning of the game, especially for free-to-play players. Now, this may seem too good to be true, and you're probably wondering why everyone doesn't do this all the time. The truth is, it takes a lot of time and commitment to cultivate a Horde account with enough energy to give you a significant enough advantage. For example, Neil hoarded energy for 150 days before he made the jump into his shard. Talk about patience. Whether it be a Horde account or traditionally a played account, there's a certain aspect of fun and excitement when you join the game for the first time, or even go back and relive the experience as a veteran player. That's all for me this week. Thank you for tuning in to Storytime with the Llama, with Book 2 in the Escape Pod Cast for Kids saga.
Micaeus Modding Mayhem is the premier remodding service for the game that we all love, Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. With some of the most affordable rates in the industry, Micaeus will rebuild your roster from top to bottom and give you consultation on where to go from there. Micaeus has a 100% satisfaction guarantee and lots of useful additional services including a full cleanup of your mods, loadout pages, PvP plans, and more. Contact Micaeus today on Discord at all lowercase Micaeus number 0127. That's MIKAYAS number 0127, or at micaeusmods@gmail.com. Micaeus Modding Mayhem, the official remodding service of the Escape Pod cast.
Did you know that if you signed up to become a Patreon, you could get tons of rewards? Force Ghost Scotty could do a roster review for you. Neil Andrew Eyre could share Grand Arena tactics. Or Paul could even help you get maximum stars in Geonosis Territory Battle. And you even get access into the after show. Sound good? Sign up to be a Patreon today. For as little as $2 a month, you could unlock a ton of potential content and also get closer to the hosts. Head to patreon.com/The Escape Pod to sign up.
Hey there, Escape Podawans. Everyone's favorite Llama here to remind you that the Escape Pod cast is on social media. That's right, we're on Facebook, we're on Twitter. So give us a like, give us a follow, and stay up to date on all things in-game and in the Escape Pod. Our account links are down in the description or on our Discord server in the Show Links channel. See you on the net.
Receiving incoming transmission. Receiving incoming transmission. Receiving incoming transmission.
And welcome into this week's incoming transmission live on this edition of the Escape Pod cast. And this week I have somebody who, you know what, I gotta admit, I've unfortunately neglected you, my friend. You know, we've been having guest after guest after guest, and while you were part of a Hollow Roundtable, it's finally time to have you as the featured guest. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, Deadpool Kyle. What's going on, DPK?
Hey, buddy. How's it going? It is going great, actually.
Excellent. I'm so sorry. I am so sorry that it took this long. You know, you never got to speak to Scotty, but, you know, well, I mean, you didn't get to speak to Scotty one-on-one like we normally do these types of things, but I made good on my promise. So you gonna join the Evan 4 or no?
It's up for debate right now. Little bit of rough edges in the guild, but we're starting to settle down, and we're actually about 300K away from 28 mil or 220 mil.
There you go. Nice job.
Yeah.
So who's carrying you?
My guild, part of Cubs' alliance, Good as Dumb, 1-800 Druidia. Nice.
So, yeah, I mean, Nev, you've been all over this Q&A. You got this thing numbered. You're cross-referencing. You're like Charlie Day on It's Always Sunny with how much string theory you're doing this time around.
Oh, yes, I have been doing some serious homework. I've been reading up on that Q&A all day yesterday and all day today. Just, you know, crossing some T's and dotting some I's. So we are going to take a couple of the categories that were covered during the QA, and we're going to discuss them with DPK.
Excellent. Let's rock. Let's do it.
Okay, DPK. I take you. I mean, it goes without saying that you probably have seen the Q&A. You might have even watched it live. Did you catch it live, or did you catch it on the replay and just check out what was in the forum at a later date?
Well, to be honest, I've actually the last couple of days. Well, the beginning of the week, I've been moving. I didn't actually get to sit down and watch the Q&A live like I wanted to, but today while at work, a little bit yesterday, I scrolled through it and I skimmed. Couple of interesting.
That's all right.
Points.
That's all right. There were lots of interesting points. So I think what we'll do is we'll cover a couple of categories. We'll cover economy and we'll cover relics. How's that sound, mate?
Sounds like fun to me.
Well, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll just kind of refresh you of what the questions were. Well, more the pertinent ones, and we'll just go from there, mate. And we'll do a little bit of digging. We'll do a little bit of analysis, and see if there's any skeletons in the CG closet. So there were only a couple of questions regarding economy, to be honest with you.
Yeah, the stupidest one here, Nev, is I'm not calling the question stupid. I think the response is stupid, me personally. But no, we can go from 5A to 6E without a problem. But is it possible to upgrade 4 to 5? No, it's not. What the hell?
Oh.
Yeah,
Don't get me started on that.
That would be, in my opinion, that would be a waste. But I'd very much like to know what DPK has to say on this, and he's probably going to share our opinion.
I mean, it still infuriates me that I 95% of the time pull more 3 and 4 dot mods from the challenges or the mod battles than I do 5 dot mods. But having it would be interesting to have them jump from 4 dot to 5 dot mods. Don't know how exactly they would actually make that work, because I think I've got a couple 4 dot mods somewhere in my inventory that have decent speeds. But I think the issue they would have would be the scaling of the speeds, because obviously speed is king.
Yeah, no, I'm not entirely dissimilar to what you just said there. I have a couple of the only 4 dot mods I keep are speed arrows, and they are simply for trash characters. So a character that you're not going to use. It's in those. You know what I'm talking about, those squads that are around the 70k mark, and you don't have a speed arrow for them, and you don't want to waste a 5 dot speed arrow. So it's like, oh, well,
as long as they're not a pilot, it's fine.
Exactly. As long as they're not crew and they're just a trashy 70k, I don't know, I can't even
Phoenix?
think. Yeah, Phoenix. No, not Phoenix.
Hey.
Phoenix a crew. Phoenix a crew. I'm thinking more along the lines of maybe an Ewok or something like that. An Ewok or a Jawa or a Tusken.
Wow.
Something like that.
So what you're saying is the creatures of Star Wars are trash?
Yes, well, some of them are.
I think Wampa's going to have to come see you up there.
Oh no, I don't know. I always put a full speed one on my Wampa.
Almost winter in Midwest.
Well, it's starting to get cold here in Illinois.
I heard my family lives in Kenosha, Wisconsin, and they said they had a nice cool drop down the other day.
Yeah, it needs to stop raining so I can get out and cut the bloody lawn. That's what it needs to do. Right. Okay. So we're agreed on that. So the only other question is kind of a biggie, because it's kind of regarding relics, but it's more about the signal data that's required for relics. So the question was put like this: why did you choose to put signal data on nodes without character shards as well? All this does is create a further divide between new and old players. You have to choose between farming shards for much needed characters or farming data for relics. And I will basically give you the rundown of what CG said. It was CG Top Hat that answered this question, and his response was as follows: this is intentional, as we did not want low-level accounts to farm resources they cannot use at the time in their life cycle. There's an argument to be made that it helps them prepare once they get to G13, but lower-level players are heavily focused on the resources they need now and not end game goals initially. Why not put them on nodes with character shards? In short, we wanted you to make that hard choice. Do you continue to grow your roster, or do you double down on the characters you have as a fundamental choice you have to make for progressing in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes? So what do you think? First of all, the question is basically, why? Why did they choose to put signal data on nodes without character shards? And obviously they put them on nodes that were 16 energy as well. And basically they're saying that they don't want newer characters being able to farm them on cheaper nodes with characters on, because somebody starting from scratch can build up a massive stockpile of the signal data when they don't actually need it and they're not actually going to use it, and go to the end. So they're making a rational argument, but what do you think? What do you think about the argument that they're making for doing it the way that they've done?
I actually don't mind it at all. Now, I'm probably going to get some hate for this, but CG's intentions behind it are 100% needed. I think limiting... So, there's already a divide with characters like Journey to characters like the Revans. People have been, when I started the game, CLS came out, then JTR. JTR was a huge deal. And I don't know if... I know Paul remembers the vet farm. It was very painful.
Very painful.
I think it's nice because like they said. Well, also back when I was farming the vets, you also had to choose: were you going to farm characters, or were you going to use your cantina for mods?
Exactly.
It's the same idea. And I kind of had a feeling that when they decided to take mods off of cantina energy, that they would eventually do something like this to stretch your resources thin. And now we understand a little bit about a year and a half from mods 2.0-ish. So I think it's warranted. You as a newer player, you have to decide: am I going to go behind on these farms that I need to get these OP characters that everybody you basically need to progress through the game, or am I going to get something that I have little to no use of, that's going to take especially low level players a long time to acquire?
But
Tier 13 is not easy.
Yeah, but
even for me.
Don't you think that the argument is logically inconsistent? What way? What I mean is, okay, so they're saying that the intention is they don't want low-level accounts to farm resources that they cannot use at that time in their life cycle. And I completely get that, and I understand that. And obviously they're making the argument that it would help them to prepare once they get to Gear 13. So then why not have a similar system for the signal data on a cantina node at the end, like they do for mod slicing gear at the end of the mod battles? So you've got 8 stages, you've got all the various different mods, but the stage where all of the mod slicing gear is, you can't actually get until your end game. So it's, you can't get the mods. So you can get 5.mods at level 50 and 60, but you can't actually farm for the slicing gear until you hit level 80. So why not do something similar with the cantina? Why not create a separate stage at the end, and each node is for the various different signal data that you need to get, and it does not unlock until you reach a certain level threshold or GP threshold that would be classed as end game.
Well, Nev, honestly, they do, because I remember having trouble beating the cantina endgame nodes until I had established characters. So until you actually have those established characters, you're not going to be worried about getting to those end game Cantina nodes. And they do have it level locked, if you will, because, you can't get there until you're a certain level. Now, that also being said, this relics are for end game players. But they give the option to newer players by saying, okay, you've reached this certain level. If you'd like to move away from trying to get the vets to 7-star, here, instead, you take this. You go ahead and try to relic up one of your characters, but you're not going to be getting character shards. And I'm actually applauding them for that because, a lot of people lately have started to say, oh, you've got these rose-colored glasses of endgame content. No, not necessarily. I could see where you're coming from, right? And I could see where you're coming from with that thought, but not everything is for you. I said that way back in the beginning. Geonosis territory battles, limited for your guild size, because honestly, it's hard as balls.
Yeah, it's hard as balls.
Yeah. Basically the way I think they did it is if it's at 80 million, I think it was 85 or 80 million. 80 million. If you can barely beat Heroic Sith, you really, really don't have any business trying Geonosis territory battles.
But
my
TPK,
guild's 220 million. I can understand it's being an endgame player. This is so. The last, I don't know, since March, I have pretty much stepped into being a quote-unquote endgame player. I am finally caught up. I can focus on getting ahead for a change. And I've been playing the game for 4 years. Granted, I've had spurts of casuality for months and not really having the proper guidance, I guess you could say, at the beginning of the game.
I don't think anybody in the 4 million range truly had any proper guidance. We're grateful for people like Nev doing these new accounts. We're grateful for people like Llama taking over their time to go ahead and put together the whole story time series and Llama's work with the whole my hippie space commune of guilds, if you will. We're not an alliance. We're not a family. I call it the hippie space commune. The Escape Pod Castaways is a hippie space commune.
I love it. I dig it.
And, we're going to be talking to Nev here in just a moment about his whole Horde account coming up in a moment. But, we took one of your accounts in. We took the Horde account into one of our, if you will, end game.
Oh, yes.
Guilds,
and Nev is most appreciative of that.
Already getting Tria shards and probably isn't even level 85.
I am currently at level 55. No, we'll be discussing that. We will be discussing that shortly. Yes,
shortly here. But the whole thing is that if you don't have the firepower and you expect to go in and have everything handed to you, you're not playing this game right. It's a journey.
Wait, I thought we were playing the game show You Might Be a Millennial If. Kidding. Joking.
I know.
Don't kill me.
I'm not going to. But the whole thing is that we are not... we didn't get all these boost packs and things like that near the beginning, at least that I remember. And now they have these 790. No, and then they have these 799 crystal packs that you get a 1 in 5 chance of getting the character you want, and then you get between 3 and 330 shards.
Yeah, no. I believe they called that. What was it? The Rhodiums. Back in the early game, I think it was Rhodiums. That's where you got like Darth Maul and Rex.
Exclusively, nonetheless.
Yeah, exactly. That was so. Yeah, you want to talk about pay to play back in the early game? Rhodiums is where it was at.
In my day.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, 4 years it's a very long time. But yeah,
and that's the way we liked it.
Yeah, I mean, I can't. The only thing that comes to mind that was quote unquote a good deal when it first started was the crystal subscriptions.
Yes.
Other than that, the Erodium packs, in my opinion, were absolutely an atrocious deal.
Right. Okay. And with that, I think I'll bring us back on. The train tracks, and we'll go cover another category. How's that sound, DPK?
Oh, look, a squirrel!
Relics for 100, Nev. Oh, sorry.
Yes, we will cover the relics. And now, there were quite a few questions regarding the relics, but some of it's naff and trivia, and some of it's fluff. My apologies if anyone listening was one of the questioners. But some of this stuff is, like, for example, let's start from the top. So, are you guys planning on adding more relic levels? And this was quite a straightforward, that they've designed the system so they can add more relic levels in the future, but they don't have any plans to in the short term. So it's something that they can do, but it's not something that they're planning on doing. So, we've got them at 7. They can take them higher, but there are no plans to do that. Question after that, with relics increasing the power of pilots and therefore ships, how do ships without pilots evolve? And it was a short, sweet answer there. We are aware of this growing gap, and we are actively exploring ways to ensure that crewless ships do not fall behind in power. I'll be very interested to see how they do it, but since we've only got one crewless ship, it doesn't really matter.
But it does matter, because I have a 7-star vulture droid, damn it, Nev.
Well, tough. Okay.
I'm going to have to bleep that out, you son of a bitch.
What? Really? You're really going to have to bleep that out?
You can't say that in the US.
Okay, all right then. Tell it to the FCC. Tell it to the FCC.
And this is the part where they realize that I do have a dump button live. Anyway, go.
Okay, well, the next one was, again, Nif Naf trivia. It's just fluff. Do you have any characters with relics? And they all go through and say which ones they have relics. So not really that important, not going towards the content. The next one I thought was quite relevant, actually, and definitely want to get your take on this one, DPK. The question was, can we get a signal data heist like we got mod salvage heist after mod salvage introduction? Now, it doesn't say who answered the question, but it says we're still in the evaluation phase of relics and determining whether a signal data heist is needed. And if it is, what does it look like? They don't have any plans at this time, but what's your take on that, DPK? Do you think that there needs to be a data heist, signal data heist, just like they did with mod salvage, and it would create, another little event that people could do?
I don't think it does right now. It's still new. Let it sit in. What's the best word I can think of?
Marinate.
Let it sit and fester.
Stew?
No,
Let
fester.
It stew?
Fester.
Let it mature?
No, fester.
Fester.
That is definitely the word. It's definitely let it fester.
Okay, no worries.
And if they did do it, of course, we are going to need Jawas for that.
Oh, God, please no.
Oh,
God, please no.
Something Tuscans.
I had to level them. I had to level them enough for the darn
crit damage.
Crit damage mod battles. No, I refuse to mod or gear up my Jawas any more than level 8. I think they are.
If anybody has got Deadpool Kyle, know that you can put the bugs safely on offense or on defense.
If you guys watch my GA streams, you would know that too. But after a slight remodding, that is fixed. Hopefully.
Okay.
You took away the zing that I was going for there, Kyle.
I know. I ain't nobody make fun of me better than me.
Okay, so we've got a big. This is the big one now. This is the big one. We did discuss this on a previous show. We said that when Relic first came out, that one of the questions on the lips of everyone would be, why release Relics now? Well, that is the next question. So the question is as follows: why release Relics now? Like Gear, it's an expansion of character progression. So why release it without a new feature? Wouldn't it have been better if Relics was introduced with Lightside TB's release? Why release Relics without completing the Relic ability feature? Are we going to see more Relic levels with Lightside TB? Can we expect more Relic levels added twice a month or more? Now, CG Top Hat answered this, and he answered it in 4 parts. Now, parts 1, 2, and 4 aren't really relevant, and they're not pertinent, but 3 is kind of important. So he addresses the why Relics now. And he says, basically, yes, you're right. Typically, we release progression systems alongside a larger content beat. We didn't this time because of the size and scope of Relics. We wanted to evaluate it in a vacuum as much as possible. As we've indicated before, we think of Relics as being a platform for some potentially really interesting changes, and we wanted to evaluate it relatively clean without something else in the system potentially inflating or deflating its numbers. So basically, the reason that they're giving for releasing Relics without any kind of expansion or content or anything is they wanted to see how Relics did in a vacuum with not much going on around it. Now, do you think that that's a valid response to that question?
So his response actually makes total sense. You know, with Gear 12, it came out with, the Gear 12 left side pieces came out with Rourke Sith. This makes sense because they wanted to see how it reacted in Arena, in Grand Arena, in Territory Wars. They wanted to see, so it wasn't, they wanted it to operate by itself. So they made sure it was working as intended. Nothing was askew, to say. At least that's what it sounds like. And it makes sense. Relics is relatively huge. I mean, the GP bump alone just skyrockets.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people were actually looking for that after the, Gear 13, gave so much more stats, but just didn't give you the GP boost because it was only equipping one more gear piece.
You don't get a GP boost when you end up upgrading, when you hit that upgrade, even though
correct,
it's mods that pretty much are changing the game when you hit Gear 13. Now, if you are in the Relic verse, then you are now dealing with all of that. Now, I kind of think back when they mention this, I relate back to that whole economy thing where it's, either farm this or farm that. If you're beginning game, you don't worry about, farming the signal data. You probably don't even have the gear to turn into the items that you need. So, to me, going back to that whole idea, it's just asinine that it's one or the other. No, it's one or the, hey, why don't you continue to progress in the game before you start getting cocky?
I mean, I would. You should be at the very least at least a year and a half into the game. Just for the simple fact, you're not gonna have even then. I don't think anybody would have the required gear to do relics.
Oh, you'd be surprised.
I've gone through. No, I wouldn't. I've gone through quite a few gear, and I only have, I think, 10 Gear 13 people or characters, and I brought them all up to 2, and then there was a couple like Boss, Han, Chewie, and Grievous that I brought up higher. Those are the only ones, and I've gone through a lot of gear.
Yeah, and that's gear that you've had all this time.
4 years worth of stockpiling, of beating the dang TAC missions. 4 years. Looking at UCG.
I do remember having this conversation with Grande. I think it was Grande, and we were talking about the RSG were talking about that, and Grande was pointing out that he did not entirely dissimilar to what you did. A couple at 1s and 2s. But then, he took 3 characters up quite higher, and he just started chewing through all of that old salvage that, had just been stockpiling up over 4 years. And I said to him, yeah, well, you're saying that there is eventually going to be a gear crunch. And I was, I think I made the point that, well, a free-to-play account that's been running for 4 years is not going to find a similar gear crunch that a whale account of 12 months or even 2 years is, because there's 2 years of gear collecting, logging in every single day, going into the store and clicking on those 4 cheap and cheerful pieces of gear that you never need, not to mention the fact that all of the gear that you get from the challenges becomes redundant and useless after a certain period of time, and that just clocks up into the thousands. So but there is a slight difference. I would say that there's it is possible within a year for people to be able to get Gear 13 and relic the characters. But even at that 1 year point, it's still very, very difficult for them to be able to decide whether they're going to, sacrifice farming a character or, put the currency towards buying the data pieces. And I say that because at 1 year, you're still going through a pillar system.
Yeah.
So, it's not like being at a 3 year point and you effectively having done the pillar system and you just kind of, you're farming for characters here and there for bits and pieces to kind of, flesh out your roster and finish squads. At 12 months, you're still doing the pillars, and you may be in a position to take someone to Gear 13 and put relics on them. But, do you really, really want to sacrifice it? If you haven't even started your farm on JTR, or if you haven't started your farm on your Game Boy Advance, do you really want to sacrifice farming for a character to give them some relic tiers? Or do you want to finish one of your squads?
Yeah.
But,
we are running really, really long in this segment. I want to make sure that you have a chance to plug your channel real quick, Kyle, because it is a fun channel to watch. Go ahead and tell our listeners where to find you and what your show schedule is.
All right. Now that I'm kind of stable now, I stream every Monday at 8:30 Eastern time. And it's me and my buddy Dagger. We do Dan and Kyle do Hollywood, where we offshoot Swugga with something that's going on in Hollywood. I usually come up with clever titles and whatnot. And we talk Swugga, and we talk a lot more. We do sports at a little bit of at the end. We talk about other games we're playing, and then I also hop on and try to stream my Grand Arenas regularly. Sometimes most of the time I'll have Dagger with me. Sometimes I'll be by myself. But we're working on having more guests and stuff on my show around the show, and it's been a lot of fun.
And I get to announce Territory Battle Week every week.
Yes, you do. And Scotty announces Territory Wars every week,
which is awesome. We miss you, Scotty.
We do. We miss you. I miss you, Scotty. It's definitely weird not hearing your voice, and Nev, you're doing a great job filling in for him.
Thank you very mumuch, mate.
Hey, he doesn't just fill in; he officially is. So Nev is here to stay, guys. I love
now.
Until I push him out an airlock for being a jackass. Yeah. So, guys, check out the show links. Check out all the information in our Discord channel for more information on Deadpool, Kyle, and Dan and Kyle Do Hollywood. Coming up after the break, we're going to just touch on the last little segment that we haven't talked about, which is a 2-question thing about game mechanics. Really fun information. And then we talk to Neil Andrew Eyre about that wonderful The Nev Horde account right here on the Escape Pod Cast.
The Escape Pod Cast with Paul Anthony and Neil Andrew Eyre.
Micaeus Modding Mayhem is the premier remodding service for the game that we all love, Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. With some of the most affordable rates in the industry, Micaeus will rebuild your roster from top to bottom and give you consultation on where to go from there. Micaeus has a 100% satisfaction guarantee and lots of useful additional services, including a full cleanup of your mods, loadout pages, PvP plans, and more. Contact Micaeus today on Discord at all lowercase Micaeus number 0127. That's MIKAYAS number 0127, or at micaeusmods@gmail.com. Micaeus Modding Mayhem, the official remodding service of the Escape Pod Cast.
Did you know that if you signed up to become a Patreon, you could get tons of rewards? Force Ghost Scotty could do a roster review for you. Neil Andrew Eyre could share Grand Arena tactics. Or Paul could even help you get maximum stars in Geonosis Territory Battle. And you even get access into the after show. Sound good? Sign up to be a Patreon today. For as little as $2 a month, you could unlock a ton of potential content and also get closer to the hosts. Head to patreon.com/The Escape Pod to sign up.
The Escape Pod Cast. The Bridge.
Welcome back to the show, ladies and gentlemen. So, we're into our final segment. How you feeling, Paul? Wasn't that a good interview with DPK?
It was absolutely a great interview with DPK. Man, we've gone we haven't broken our record yet, which is a good thing, but we are going really long today. I'm information-packed show. I've been loving this show.
Well, we have had a complete info overload this week. The state of the state of the galaxy, the Q&A, the dev report. There's just been so much going on this week. We have a saying in the UK: you wait for ages for one bus, and then two come at the same time. We've been waiting for ages for info, and then all of a sudden we just get bombarded with data in 1 week.
Yeah, yeah. Force Ghost Scotty. Paul worrying about time? Well, I'll be... Scotty, I've always worried about time. It's just, I am late and you're early. It's okay. It's It's fine. If anybody has any questions for us with the in our listener lounge, this has been a live show. Feel free to throw it inside the listener lounge. We will get to those questions as we can. But let's get to the last two questions of the Q&A, the game mechanics questions. And why don't you take the first one? I'll take the second.
You take the first one. I'll take the second. My tab's not opening.
I was enjoying. I loved the second one, but that's fine. Han Solo's shots first stun on both hits. Does he twice stun? And if so, why? He applies 2 stacks of ferocity to Darth Revan, led Empire Sith, on his first turn. Shouldn't the first shot stun and the target and the second bonus attack just do damage? Viking took this one, saying basically that Han Solo and Auric. Han Solo's unique ability shoots first allows his basic ability to stun during his bonus turn at the beginning of a battle. Additionally, this ability allows him to attack again the first time he uses a basic attack each turn. The combination of the two effects creates a scenario where he uses his basic attack twice at the same turn, thus applying stun twice. So if they changed how it's stunned, then it's, it would absolutely, it would change a game mechanic. Han could become too overpowered in a case to where, characters that react like a Sith Empire team react when they get stunned or when they gain a negative status effect. So I'm sorry that, they wrote a kit that goes against another kit. They've been doing it all this time. It's a power creep.
Yeah, but do most people, is there a lot of people out there that use Han in a squad against Darth Revan? I figured most people would go for the Grievous Nuke team against Darth Revan, especially with relics now.
It's entirely we'll have to see what comes of all of this. Force Ghost Scotty wants to know if Scotty knows, and Scotty, you don't know, because Scotty doesn't know, and Scotty doesn't know. So Jay Solo wants to know, and you can answer this one. What about that droid attack on the Wookiee?
What about that droid attack on the Wookiees? What about that droid attack on the Wookiees? My face looks exactly like the icon after that question mark.
We do want to mention that one of our good friends, Heinze, who has been a guest host on the show, will be doing a live stream at 7:30 a.m. Eastern Time, or 9:30 p.m. tonight Australian time. If you guys do listen to the show on replay and you do hear this in time, which is in 11 hours from now, feel free to join Heinze for his first GAC live stream.
Oh, that will be fun. That will be fun. It's not conflicting with Urza, is it?
No, we're conflicting with Urza.
That's a good point. Actually, we're conflicting with Urza. We'll get a bunch of we'll get a bunch of angry people from the hall in here. Like, stop crossing the streams. It's very bad.
In fact, let's see here. Yeah, Urza is set to go live in 8 minutes from now from this live recording. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to do it quick, so we didn't impact Urza. Because we got a lot of the hall.
We're he's just doing the pleasantries and the introductions and the chatting away. We're not going to miss any of his quality content. We all know what Urza's like. It takes him a couple of beers to really, really get into it. So we've got 30 minutes.
That is true. But I do enjoy. I do enjoy doing the whole entire being the warm up act when it's Grand Arena Championship time. I do enjoy doing that for Urza. We're gonna have to try to get him on before he goes live, before he gets too drunk.
Yeah. Yes, but he is more entertaining when he's, when he's half cut. He is a lot more entertaining when he's half cut. He really gets into character.
Yeah. We get Friday Night SmackDown, and then we get, I don't know, what do we want
Raw.
to call Urza's? Well, I mean, Raw's on Monday night. It's Monday Night Raw.
I don't know. It's been that long since I've watched SmackDown and Raw. I don't know what days they're on, or who's good or who's bad, or no idea. Shall we do the second question from the mechanics questions?
Yeah, go ahead.
You go on. You do it. You wanted to do it. I mean, I've got it in front of me, but you wanted to do it anyway.
Well, I am. I'm loving this. How does crit avoidance interact with crit chance? If Yoda has 100%, 150% crit chance, and Traya has 70% crit avoidance, does Yoda have an 80% chance to crit? And I love that it's simple math here. And they even said, fun fact, that means that negative critical avoidance, such as General Grievous's leader ability, can increase your chance to critically hit, because minus 20% crit avoidance is the same as plus 20 crit chance. So if if you apply negative crit avoidance to another player, you're simply giving yourself, or maybe, yes, I know it doesn't apply in this case, but maybe even Greedo.
I knew that's where you were going. I knew that's where you were going.
I want to be able to flip the coin. I don't want a chance that I don't get the coin. It's simple. It's as simple as that. Don't take away my opportunity to flip a coin. Give me a guaranteed opportunity to flip that coin. Awesome.
Well, you're happy. You're happy with that, aren't you? You're really happy with a guaranteed coin toss. I'm never going to be happy with a coin toss. But hey, if you're happy, that's good with me.
But if you knew there was a chance for a coin toss that would give you another coin, you wouldn't want to do that. And knowing that first coin, still you get to own the coin afterward.
Well, it's. I think the only analogy I can think of is if you're in a casino, do you when you're playing roulette, do you go with black or do you go with red? Because I've played roulette and I would never make a 50-50. I just don't like 50-50.
Okay. Well,
I've never liked a 50-50.
Okay, I'm gonna go. Let's take that. Let's take that analogy, and I just want to walk you through this. I'm going to give you a $50 chip that you can go play roulette. And I'll even tell you that there's no green 0 or green 00 on that wheel. It's only red and black. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I'm going to give you a $50 chip, and no matter if you win or lose, you get to keep that chip. But if you win, you're going to be able to, you have to bet again. But you will be able to keep that chip as well. Don't you want a chance to keep, wouldn't you rather have the chip guaranteed in your hands instead of the chip possibly going away?
I would rather expend my resources on something with better odds. It's as simple as that.
All right.
Because the analogy is odds. We're talking about odds. And I will pass on a coin flip. I would rather spend my resources on something that gives me better odds of damage, because that's what it is. It's a turn-based game, and you're trying to increase your odds of doing maximum damage when you have your turn. And a coin toss on damage is just not feeling it. Not feeling it. And I don't think I ever will. I mean, I get where you're coming from, but I prefer putting resources in results with better odds. That's all.
All right. Well, it's that time. We're going to do this every single week where we check in. If you aren't able to catch Neil's talk about his Horde account, if you're not able to catch his videos, this last segment, The Bridge, is where I will check in every single week with Neil Andrew Eyre and see how the Horde is doing. Neil, Go ahead.
Yeah, well, it's been going very, very, very well actually. We're currently up to 56. The shard chat has kind of calmed down. We've got a lot of people in there. We've got over 20 people, and the payouts are kind of spreading out. You know, there's still a couple of payout hours where people are doubling up. But, people are kind of getting a feel of where they can. Everyone's changing. So you look down the list and, one person, then the next. And it's working great for me. I mean, I'm not getting what I initially expected, which is, a top 5 finish. Sometimes it's top 10. Sometimes it's top 5. I mean, we've been going 9 days now. And out of those 9 days, I've hit top spot 3 times. I think I've hit number 2 or 3 twice. And then I've finished, either 5th to 10th. And there was one time where I just couldn't get my computer up and running. And I ended up from 10th to 20th. It's taken me so much longer to get used to this Windows 10 operating system. And every time it updates, it resets all my audio settings back to default. And I have to tweak everything again. But no, the account is going brilliantly. I'm getting a really, really good crystal income from the squad arena. That reflects in the farming. The farming is going brilliantly. The boost from the hoarded materials, I didn't have as big a boost as the other hoarders because there were multiple hoarders that joined. There were multiple hoarders that joined my shard, and not to mention some of those hoarders are actual content creators. There are 3 content creators in total. In my arena shard, there's a content creator called General Stash, who is relatively new. He's only been doing content for a couple of months. The algorithm only just picked him up to me within the last few weeks, so I've been chatting with him. But Bulldog is also in and about there as well. He's not been in the top 20 for a few days now, but he is in the top 50. He's kind of like around the 30s. So you've got Bulldog, you've got General Stash, and then you've got me. And then there's a couple of there's some really, really good whales, and there are some excellent hordes. I mean, we do have one horde that's got a 7-star Treya. There is a horde with a 7-star Treya. They've got they're called Absalom's Hope, and when you look in their inventory, it's like, my God, this horde must have been going for 12 months plus. It had to have been going for 12 months plus because they've got the 7-star Treya, the 7-star Han Solo, the 7-star General Kenobi. It's got a 7-star Luke Skywalker, a 7-star Obi. We're talking 7 stars across the board. 7 stars across the board on all of the heroics. But because of the levels and because of the gears, you can still be competitive with them. And that's I suppose that's the beauty of the early game, is that there are lots of people in and around the 50s and the 60s and the 70s, but because the gears are relatively low, that around that 6 and 7 area, it's still quite possible to be competitive. So my current rank is 11th. I finished 1st earlier on today. I've got a power of 30, but I can easily take on people that have got 40 and people that have got in the mid 30s, because I am currently running a Jedi team. I was able to unlock Bastilla.
Yeah.
I was able to unlock.
I was going to ask you.
Yeah,
what are you going after?
I had to. I think for the first 5 days, I was just running Phoenix because obviously I had Hera and I had Ezra, because the Horde allowed me to build up a bunch of Cantina energy, and I wanted to take Ezra and Hera to a competitive level. And then obviously Chopper I was able to do that with as well. So first few days I had to use Phoenix, but I kind of threw my young Han Solo in there as well, because he is absolutely brilliant. And even at levels 40 and 50, once you get the rest of the team prepared, he's hitting with like 50, 75, 100% plus damage. So as long as he survives, you can take out much, much heavier hitters. But I went hard on farming Bastilla so that I could have a Jedi team. So it's now Bastilla, Ezra, Kanan, and Old Ben. I was able to get Old Ben activated as well. And Han Solo is there for the extra DPS, because all of the other Jedi early game, they're pretty pants. you've got Jedi Consular Finn and you've got Mace Windu, so you don't have an awful lot of options. But from a farming point of view, currently farming Bastilla, Boba, Zalbar, and Poggle. And obviously farming Poggle for the bounty hunter ship. So it's bounty hunters as much as possible, and every few days I unlock a level that allows me to farm for more. So it's on the books for me to get up there and in and around farming the rest of the bounty hunters and the rest of the bounty hunter ships, which is where I want to be.
Well, so where are you going to be this time next week? What's your goal?
Well, my goal, my goal this time next week would be to be farming Jolie at a minimum. If I can start farming Jolie, then he will become the fifth. I'm losing the 1 DPS with young Han Solo, but I'm getting the benefit of a healer. And it'll just be a case of putting as much offense on Ezra Bridger as possible. I need the extra DPS in the mod challenges, though. I finally unlocked 5-dot mods earlier on today, which is a godsend because I was able to complete all 8 stages. Thanks to having wonderful allies, I was able to complete all 8 stages of the mod battles. So I've unlocked every single mod challenge. But because I only had a few 5-star characters, I was only able to unlock tiers 1 and 2 on all of the challenges. So now I'm just progressing through each challenge until I can unlock tier 3. But tier 3 is it's a different animal to tiers 1 and 2. But at least now all I'll be doing is farming 5-dot mods. So for me, that's good. When I go into the arena and I look at my opponents, they're still doing 1s, 2s, and 3s and 4s. So having a slightly weaker squad, but having that entire squad comprised of 5-dot mods should help me in holding a top 20 spot, because I've been in the top 20 and I haven't left, and that's the good news. And I'm 5 levels away from Fleet, and Fleet has not been kind to a lot of my shard mates because of the Millennium Falcon event. All of the whales that were in the last Fleet shard all went to town buying bounty hunters and the bounty hunter ships so they could get MILFs. So unfortunately for me, but unfortunately for them, the last Fleet shard is full of whales. But it'll be another 5 days before I go Fleet.
There we go. All right. Well, is there anything else that you want to cover this week? Because we are approaching Urza time.
Yes, it's time to get ready for the haul.
All right. Well, first off, we do since this is the first show of the month, I am going to thank all of our Patreons in the order that they're on my screen. Our Patreons this month are Tenpool, Adam, we've got Sobi, we've got Charlie, we've got Dano, we've got another Dan, we've got Dagger, we've got David. Let's see, we have Buzzsaw, we have E-Grace Gamer, we have my buddy Ghost overseas right now. Hope you're being safe, buddy. Heinzie, thank you so much. We got Apropos, we have Mohican, we have John K, we've got John O, Caden Ace, the first ever the inaugural Patreon. We have Kurt, Deadpool Kyle, I'm going to give you a shout out, even though you had to take yours away this month because of the moving. Don't worry about it, brother. We love you. We have Michael. We have Oliver. That's Fighting Drunk, my friend. We've got the Llama, Savage Diva. We've got Uber. We have Zed, and we have the person that we'll be throwing to here in a moment, the one, the only, Urzatron. And one also special thank you to Danku for always being supportive of the show from the very, very beginning. Danku and Kyle, of course, being the two people that knew about the plan to create this in the first place. So Goobatine, you're Charlie. All right. Goobatine, I'm gonna not write in there that you are Goobatine, so I no longer call you Charlie. Nev, anything else, my friend, before we throw it? Because I'm feeling like I'm going to bring a seance.
No. I think we're good. I think it's time to call time on the show.
Okay, hang on. I'm going to try and use the Force here. Because I really, really, really want to try and bring this back, because he was here before. If I could get him to come back, that'd be awesome. All right, I'm going to try it. You ready, Nev?
Yep, use the Force. Come on.
All right. Force goes Scotty. Push the button.
Don't mind if I do. Wait. Why is my hand continuously going through the button? Get off my train! Get off my train! Get off my train, Nev!
You got it, mate. Ta-ta for now, folks.
What's going on? Where the hell are we? Paris?
Thank you for pressing the self-destruct button.
Attention! This is Colonel Sanders in forward command. Abandon ship! All personnel proceed to escape pods. Close down the circuits. Evacuate the city. Self-destruct mechanism has been activated. Abandon ship! Where is it? It's gonna be here. Out of order! Even in the future, nothing works.
This ship will self-destruct in exactly 10 seconds. Counting down. 10, 9, 8, 6.
What happened to 7?
Just kidding. 3, 2, 1. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Hello, friends. This is Thaddeus from Going Nerdy. The Escape Podcast was filmed in front of a live studio audience full of tweaked out murder bears.
Sit, Ubu, sit. Good dog.